Hi, welcome to another session where we're doing what we're calling now the Ad Workflow webinars. And we're looking at software that essentially can make everyone's life easier in their day-to-day. So the previous sessions, we've done things around generative design and workflows and how things work together. And I really wanted to do a session around AI and AI tools. And we're looking at essentially AI tools across different work stages in the sort of design process, essentially to try and help users understand what's out there, how it can help them, where they can apply AI and where they can explore these things, because we know there's lots of tools out there, but one of the big challenges is knowing what's right for each individual. And I'm really excited about the tools that we've got here today. Unfortunately, Cogram couldn't make it today because of a scheduling issue, but I'm going to fill in for them and just go through that. But yeah, today's session will be kind of, we're doing 10 minutes each on each of the different software and doing questions and answers. If you are watching this on LinkedIn, please put comments in the chat area and I'll pick those up and ask the presenters questions. I would really like to get lots of engagement. So any sort of questions that you have, and please do ask. I'm going to start off with everyone introducing themselves. Eva, I'm going to ask you to go first and just tell us a bit about you and your company.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alistair, for the invite, and everybody who's listening. It's Friday afternoon, evening, so it's at least in Europe. So my name is Eva Lennart. I'm a founder and CEO of Howie. It's a Vienna-based startup. But we are solving the problem which I experienced firsthand, working 10 years as a qualified architect around the globe. And the problem which I experience, and I guess everybody who've ever worked in the planning, delivery, or management of the buildings knows it, knowledge management. Whenever you need information, you need to make decision, to forecast, to find liability, it's always impossible to dig it through. So at Howie, we are totally reinventing the future of work, and we are providing companies with AI brain. It's a Howie who never retires. It's always up to date and extract information from your real estate and construction data. And I will be very, very later excited to show you everything what we are building and hear your questions. Thank you.
Excellent. Chris, you go up next.
Awesome. My name is Chris Wiesen. I am the president of Built Smart, but we are building the tool called Maestro. And this is the tool that will help change the way you work with your design software by giving you the power to create automations and share them with your entire team in the blink of an eye. So we are software developers first, or that's our background. And through that process as designers as well, we've identified all of these areas where design software feels very rigid. And so we wanted to give that capability back for designers to really kind of build their design software how they see fit to make their lives easier.
Perfect. Ben, do you want to give us an intro to yourself?
Sure. My name is Ben Preston. I'm an architect and a software developer. And like Chris mentioned, we're working on Maestro. I'm really excited to share a demo of kind of how this works. I think like Chris said, we were pretty unhappy with the existing methods like Dynamo or PyRevit to kind of scaffold out a set of tools. And we were also very dismayed at how hard it was to get those tools off your computer onto, a person sitting in the next cubicle over, like how difficult that was. So Maestro really automates that process and makes sharing tool sets and making brand new automations a breeze.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. Leo, do a quick intro to you as well. Don't want to miss you out.
Thank you, Alistair. Appreciate that. Hi, I'm Leo. I'm the IT manager for APLB, and I'm just bringing my IT perspective to this conversation.
Great, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
So I'm going to actually kick us off with Cogram because, as I say, Alex couldn't make it today because he's had a conference today, unfortunately. So I'm going to just share my screen just very quickly. So Cogram is really interesting, I think. So I've known them for quite a period of time because I've actually been using their software for maybe a year now, actually. So Cogram it's got a number of different tools within it. Originally, it was an AI note taker for the AEC industry, and what it allowed you to do was to invite it to your meetings and use it to annotate notes from that session. So I use it for my online meetings, and it can capture all of the data from those, and then it sends me an email afterwards summarizing the conversation. It's really good at adding actions at the end of it as well to say this is what you agreed to do. And I tend to take that and put it into my minutes and then capture all of that data together. But they also do a number of other things as well. So if you go here, this is their website here. And actually, I'll just share their website so you can see what that is. Yeah, there you go. But on their website, you can see they also do project bidding, which is what we're going to have a look at particularly today. Meeting minutes, which I've just talked about. They are integrating an AI assistant for Outlook as well at the moment, which is due to launch reasonably soon. And they also do an app for field reports, which I've used in the field, in conferences particularly, to capture people talking, so that I can actually capture that live conversation on the phone, and then it sends you an email again and just captures everything that's been discussed in there. And it's really good because then you can kind of go, tell me the key themes of this presentation or this thought, the discussion that we had on site maybe. So it's really good from that perspective. This is really helpful to architects from that early stage where a lot of information needs to be captured, written down, communicated and confirmed. And Cogram's doing, I think sort of like 80% of that for you. And then that 20% of the time is just kind of tidying it up, making it sort of, sure it's absolutely correct and what you want it to say. And then you can then put those minutes together, send them out, or capture that information in a real way. And I think it's incredibly valuable from that perspective. So this is actually the interface here. And the way that it works is you invite Cogram to your meetings, and it will come in there. I'm not going to show you this because it's got all of my meetings in here, so I just don't want to protect that a little bit. But you can attach it to all your meetings. It will capture all the conversations. You have to let it into the room, into the meeting itself, and then it just sits in the background and just does what it needs to do. So you've got that for meetings. You can also do other things like upload audio into here. So if you had an audio file you want it to transcribe, it will do that. This in-person one is the app, so you can actually do it through the web interface here and just record a conversation through a computer. But the app itself is really good on a phone, and that'd be useful just in a one-to-one kind of environment, or with multiple people. The email inbox, you can forward your emails to here. So if you forward your emails, it can then use that AI assistant to interrogate those emails and then give you some feedback or summary from there. So all of this is just helping us do our day-to-day job, which unfortunately is a lot of emails, a lot of minute taking, and a lot of administrative stuff, and helps us kind of speed up that process. The key thing they're doing at the moment, though, is about proposals and requests for proposals primarily. So commonly we get sent RFPs, requests for proposals, to say, okay, there's a project or a brief we'd like you to respond to. Here's all the detail. And then architects will have to then put together quite a lot of extensive information to actually feedback based on that proposal requirements. So what you can see here is I've done a quick test for today, which we'll have a look at. You have a knowledge base here. So from the outset, you need to say who you are. So this is my company here, it's got the address, my website, and my email. It's got qualifications, so I've put in here just as some of the what I've put this together for proposals that I've sent to architects to do technology projects with. So you can see it talks about my company, how I can help AEC professionals. It talks about my database and the software that I've got in here. So it's about 1,500 different pieces of software. And some of my experience, and then it's brought through this diagram. I don't think it recognizes the diagram, but it's nice that it's in there. And then obviously this is me here. And then I just grabbed I just asked ChatGPT to throw in some costs. This isn't real costs. This is just prefabricated information, but basically said, for an 8-week project, maybe it's going to cost this, whatever. And then it's obviously broken that down. So if you have kind of fee prices for things that you do, you can add that in here. And then I got ChatGPT again just to write me a style guide, because I don't have that currently, which is probably something I should do. And then it can kind of just talk about, the professional tone of voice, analytical, supportive, visionary, maybe things like that. So it's got all this data in here. And then in this one, I've put some reference proposals. I'm not going to show you those, but I've done a number of different proposals to architects to say, I would really like to help you with your technology challenge, whatever that may be. And it's got all of those in there, so it can use those as part of its model to go, okay, here's the new one. I'm going to look at all those ones, and then we can start to create those new proposals. So in here, I did this earlier. This is the proposal here. And what it's done is it goes through a process of you upload the RFP. It then drafts out a rough scope for that, and then you can alter and amend that and change that around. And then you go to create, and it took about 5 minutes to create all these different sections. But you can see, this fictional architect, ABC Architects, is what they were looking for. And it's actually put into place a lot of the information that the RFP has asked for. So all the different phases of the work, budget implications there, what we'd like to try and do. And obviously it's highlighted things, that it wants me to fill in at a later date. It's got information on me as a company, so I can put that all in here as well. And then, this is the project, what our understanding of it. So you can see it's producing what quite a lot of information, and project bidding can be very laborious with the amount of information that needs to be required. So it's starting to put all of this this information together for you, and break it all down into different parts. So you can see the different elements that are needed within this, the different deliverables, change management, training plan, how you would approach that. And what this essentially done is done 80% of that work and put it together for me, and I can then take that and download it. And when I download it here, it downloads as a Word document, and all of this is being built into a file. So I need to share a different screen to show that to you very quickly. Let me see if I can grab that. But it's put it automatically into a Word document. And where have I got it here? I've got too many things open. Can't find it. Hang on, bear with me. It's here somewhere.
Right.
Yes, this one. I want to share window. Here we are. Got you. Sorry, apologies for that. So it's just downloaded this. It's just a Word document. You can see all the different sections are here. It's got all these in the contents, and then it's just brought it all in. So you can see it's picking up those placeholders, talking about the company, and it's created a document which is, 34 pages long, which then allows me then to go through and then tidy this all up, put in my, my intelligence in theory, my knowledge and understanding of the requirements. It's obviously picked up costs in here as well. Again, this is all dummy stuff. It's not real. But in terms of just aiding that process for architects, I think this is incredibly valuable. And I've been talking to lots of different clients about this. I could think this could really help because, a lot of architects do a lot of bids each year. And if you could save, even if it's 50% of your time, just putting some of this together, it makes a massive difference. It means you could create, and fill in more bids, or the bids you do could be much more kind of refined and specific and have your bespoke voice in there. So that's kind of how that tool's working.
Alistair?
Yeah, let's have some questions.
Do you think you could get Open Asset to integrate with Cogram? So like when it's talking through it could maybe pull in precedents from your from past work as well.
It's a really
I know you're the
question.
wrong person to ask, but
yeah,
it's like I know the architects spend ages like sifting through if they've got like their image database organized and they've got some like hero pictures or whatever it might be in certain sectors. It'd be amazing if it could integrate into that and then start pulling in some of those imagery as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. So I'll talk to Alex about that because you've got a section here which is integrations. You can see it's integrated with my Google Calendar, which is how it gets invited to the meetings. But in theory, because Open Asset has an API, you could link into that and it could be in here. And then, that would be amazing, wouldn't you? You could start saying, we want all of our education projects or our, commercial projects, whatever it might be, in here. So I'll definitely talk to Alex and ask that question.
Cool.
And yeah, see what he says. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I wonder if you know, because obviously it's slightly different to what you're doing, but I wonder if you've got any thoughts about that as a tool.
I think the ability to kind of create those long form documents is a lifesaver, right? I mean, there's so many situations where going in and creating proposals, and obviously, you know, a lot of the stuff that we've been doing is custom software development, but the idea of being able to go in and generate something like that, I mean, that is on the administration side, that is a time sink, and seeing something like that could totally change the way you how often and how accurately you can propose and get projects.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I hadn't actually thought about it for my own proposals. Really, I kind of thought, oh, it's for architects to do architectural ones, but it doesn't matter if you're bidding for something. You know, as long as you can put that framework in there, it can help you actually produce that. Yeah, I'm really looking. I'm going to try it out properly on some proposals and test it out properly.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think it's funny because it's like I'm picturing my workflow and how disjointed, where I'm still using AI, right? So I'm still using AI to help and everything, but being able to just consolidate everything under one platform, it's like, oh wow, okay, that makes a lot more sense than copying and pasting and trying to, you know, build that whole process out myself. Even with the help of AI in its current state and how I'm using it, it's still beneficial. But you know, yeah, that consolidation is kind of key, right?
Yeah.
Alistair, I just wondered from an integration perspective, like I wouldn't necessarily want everyone to have access to it. Do you know if we could integrate it with like AD so we could just apply it to specific people in the organization? I'm just wondering like how IT would deploy it to people. Like you said, you could invite the meeting rooms. Yeah. But if I just was like on a session like this and I wanted to add it in to like a team session or something, I just wonder how that would work. So like maybe I just want management to have this facility, but I don't want maybe part 1, part 2s to have it.
Yeah. So when you say AD, you mean Active Directory, don't you?
Yeah, sorry, Alistair.
Yeah,
just
right.
any identity management system, whatever it is, but just kind of that control. Is it like, I wonder if it must be able to integrate with secure users and groups, I would have thought, in some way. Or is that like an enterprise version of it, maybe?
I would assume, I think that would probably be what is needed. Have a conversation with them. I think it's worth applying it to the people who do this the most. I definitely think senior architects, and directors will definitely need it. You're right. More junior members may not be using, like for the proposals, they may not be using the minutes in the same way as well. But I think, you could probably discuss that more with them, and it would, you'd be able to work a way of actually how you manage that in detail.
Just a kind of deal breaker, is it? I mean, you and I, Alistair, we talked about this before, but a lot of companies that are writing AI policies, they're actually now blocking a lot of these bots that attend meetings. It was something we would want to talk to Cogram about directly, but I just don't know how we get around that.
Yeah, I mean, I think from Cogram's point of view, they do have a secure kind of policy about the data and the management of that. And it might be to segue into the next. It'd be really interesting to talk to Eva about Howie and how you work. And obviously, data security is such a kind of massive thing, but I know you've got a kind of approach with that. So, do you want to do a quick sort of demo and kind of introduce your software?
Sure. Actually, I think it might be interesting because even it's a very different software. I think there are overlaps, maybe also in philosophy. Both we really want to change the way people work and interact with their data. So let me share the screen.
Yeah.
By the way, I really like this platform.
It's it's really good.
Cool. And it connects with. Sorry to say, this connects with LinkedIn. You can see it's really cool. Definitely.
Share your screen, and then I'll see it here, and I'll put you on here.
Because sorry. Interesting, because now you can see the website, correct?
There you go. Yep.
But I want to change. So first, I just wanted to show you first the team. It's not me alone. We have amazing team. We were founded a year ago and really grew. And I'm sharing now to this. Wait, sorry because I'm sharing, but you still see the screen. I wanted to share screen. Sorry, the software.
Okay.
Here. Okay, perfect. So let me introduce you to Howie. Howie is a vertical platform. It's for architecture, engineers, and construction industry, but it's vertical in the sense that it's a one AI brain for your organization that it's useful for everybody in the firm. So it's vertically brain for your firm. So I can give you a couple of examples how it can work, and then we can kind of go in the breakdown. How is it really built and how is it connected? So everybody in your firm, whether you are 300-400 engineers, bidders, planners, has Howie. And Howie already knows, who you are logged in and what possibly you can look for. And imagine you are starting a project, or like you said, you just got the bid and you are bidding for the project, and you just wonder, for instance, you're starting a new project in Canada. Have we ever done any Alpine style hotels, for instance? But you start a new project and you ask Howie, and Howie looks, yes, actually I found the project, and then explains you. I have multiple resources why I found the project that might be of the interest with you, and there is an evidence because of mountains and pitch roofs that it might be in the mountains. And then you go to references, and Howie connects to the database, both to the external one, what it could be, and internal in your organization, and find the presentation that reads the visuals, reads that they are elements like icebergs, mountains, wood elements, that this is an Alpine style hotel, and especially in the pages like mountain inspiration and ice, and it knows and it connects, and you can talk further with it. And for instance, you are still like doing research as a young architect, and you say, I need to draw roof ridge details. Can you show me some examples? And Howie again searches external and internal databases and tells you what you should take into consideration when you do you want to draw roof ridge detail, upskilling, but at the same time also shows you from internal of your company organization some drawings that might be interesting for you, right? So it doesn't matter if their drawings were saved on ACC cloud, they were attached in your email or in your SharePoint, and does not really matter how they were called, right? It finds you the right references. It knows the meta information, text, image, that this is a roof ridge detail, right? And you can go further, and you can, for instance, say, so can you give me a summary of this reference too from the list? And then how it goes in details and tells you the information it extracted, and follow-ups with questions or other extraction from the drawings could be relevant to you. And this is something that is it's about finding, extracting information through databases and versioning in your files. But what we also released recently, it's a deep research part of Howie. It's in alpha, which lets you not instantly get an answer, but for instance, wait half an hour, 2 hours, or half the day, the way you would give the task to somebody in your firm. And one example, like this is a demo account. I actually didn't ask our clients to give the permission, but one of the examples we are recently developed with one of our customers, it's not for early stage like here, but for later stages, when the company has tons of issues of drawings and information in ACC, and we connected to their ACC cloud. And for instance, on one project, there is 40,000 drawing changes across 8 years, what they've been developing. And
wow.
we're able to ask Howie, hey, like we are still, of course, we're working on a lot of information we want to extract, but they were interested, like, which changes took the longest, where were the biggest problems, right? How you could improve for the future. And how we was able to analyze 40,000 of issues by connecting with ACC. But this would not happen with an instant, but this is an example of a deep research one, when it takes a couple of maybe hours. So you have to think of it like another person in your firm, right? Sometimes people know things on top of their head, and sometimes they need time to do a research to extract this information. And so this is kind of couple of use cases that I can show you. And as said, like we are currently integrated. We are looking at variety of integrations. We are integrating with ACC, SharePoint, and are constantly looking into integrating a variety of other forms. And we are focusing now on adding the data types. I can, for instance, show you. So currently Howie extracts really good information from, of course, PDFs, but also PowerPoint, Excel, tables, as said, connecting to ACC. And really our goal is to add and keep adding capabilities and being able to build the brain that, first of all, understands your whole firm and understands you. Every person has a different account. And by graph of thought, in the way we structure our system, the system can recognize the patterns of the similar things you ask, and somebody else in your firm, maybe in the other location of your firm, been asking before, right? We are all similar people. And it's basically the knowledge assistant for you.
This is really amazing. So
Wow.
yeah, integrating that into, I think we've just lost her.
Oh, she might have accidentally ended her.
Yeah, okay.
Studio rather than.
She'll be back in a minute. She'll be back in a minute. But I think the integration with ACC, that's amazing. Hello, you're back.
Yay!
Sorry, it got disconnected. I'm sorry.
Got too excited. Disconnect.
The integration with ACC is amazing.
Yeah.
That's so valuable. It's so valuable for companies because of so much data is being moved into that space from BIM 360, future projects going in there. That integration I can see being incredibly helpful for companies.
Yeah, so we are still in development stage. Actually, today we had kickoff with our first UK customer with Head a Week. And we are working on the co-creation. So it's still a lot to build. So I'm really interested to your questions, guys, if you have any.
I was going to ask a little bit about the integrations. That's kind of what really caught my eye on that one. I mean, various conversations with people at the moment is like, you can't just throw unstructured data at it. It needs to be in like a data lake, and it needs to be, have to have hygiene around it, all this kind of stuff. It's interesting that you're obviously doing the integration with SharePoint and ACC, assuming that it's easier to API or integrate into those platforms. I'm hesitant to put a lot of our data into SharePoint just because of the cost around that, but I'm guessing that you won't be able to integrate into, say, on-premise data solutions, whether that was like Windows Server or, let's say, like a collaboration server like Ignite or Nizuni. Would you be able to, because a lot of companies are using that to kind of restructure their data. I'm just wondering, like, if that would be on the roadmap or how complicated that might be.
It's totally on the roadmap, all the things you were mentioning, and connecting to on-premise services is totally possible. It just takes more time and like one-on-one time. So we are not focusing on this now. We are focusing on working with the integrations we have and like the common ones. But definitely this is possible, and this is what we want to focus next year. And
I mean, which is great. I mean, even like say even if you wanted like an intranet, which was maybe pretty crude, but you took some really like important documents and you just put them in SharePoint and then you put Howie over the top, it would be an incredibly powerful and easy way to leverage that information to users really quickly. Like you said, you just want to really quick look for a detail, or maybe go, how do I deal with this defect, or can I use Celotex in a high rise? Stuff like that could immediately sort of say, no, you can't do that, or this is the reference point. That would be I mean, for small businesses, that would be an amazing way of really leveraging AI very quickly to them. Because normal AI integration is incredibly complex, just because of the way that data is structured at the moment is incredibly unstructured.
And this is also interesting with the deep research what we are showing. You probably all hear agentic AI, and this is actually a very powerful tool, because it's one thing, it's knowing where your data is and how it's structured, and another way is building agents which understand the workflows in the firm, so maybe immediately have the answer. It's actually quite similar what you showed, Alistair, with proposing bids. It's not like we are working on proposing bids, but we are working on generating different materials you want. So as kind of like said today, like one of the examples today we had with pilot users that they are starting and they had so many projects, and they're like, we want all the residential projects we ever had, all the information if we ever develop something in Canada, just to have kind of wrap around for the first meeting, right? Like an internal report. So some things take longer to produce, because the system will be going, not knowing one by one where it is, but rather scanning the workflows and coming back with solution. I'm trying to look at the question.
Yes,
sorry. I will read. Hello, Sierra. Is there any tracking for project managers about what common types of questions are being asked? Good question. This could be a really useful tool to identify where they need more support and knowledge building. Of course, this is actually in the very, very first version of Howie, when we just started, that was one of the things we did. We like, there is a profile, and managers know where the knowledge lacks, and this was part of everything. But like everybody who ever built software, you just, in the beginning, you start with this amount of stuff. Then you strip down everything. You try to make one thing work and put everything on backlog. So definitely, this was actually how it was born. And this is at the essence of it. We want to help people upskill and save time on the more important stuff. So definitely we are gathering a lot of data from what users are doing, and this is a part of what we want to achieve and help companies to achieve.
Amazing.
I'm wondering, sorry, one question for me is, I'm wondering if you have plans to integrate with any construction administration software, either Newforma or Procore, because often in architecture, some of the most important information that actually comes out of a project is actually via RFIs or change order requests and stuff like that. It would be very nice to be able to say, hey, I'm looking to use such and such product. Have we used this product before, and have we run into any issues with it?
Yes, 100%. And actually RFIs and submittals are very AI friendly formats because they are quite organized. Again, this is totally on our roadmap. Procore, Newforma, I would not say so. Let's see. We rather see a lot of overlap and replacement, in our opinion, or a lot of firms use Newforma for searching and extracting also of information which is rather sluggish, but where they are stuck with Newforma, it's because of the RFI and submittals information. But also, if you know the product well, I know to some extent, they also have this, I think, Newforma Context, is it called, where they try to help you with this knowledge management on top, which is not working quite well from the users that we heard. So we rather see here also overlap rather than integration at this stage.
Okay.
And I'm curious, it's the conversation is so poignant, because we've talked with a lot of our clients about kind of, we have all this data, what do we do with it? And right now, I think one of the biggest issues is how it's all organized currently, right? Like everything's kind of hidden or tucked away in all these subfolders and all these different places. How much effort is required to kind of prepare the data to be best utilized by your system? Do they have to kind of go in and do some purging to kind of, just kind of what they say, right? Where it's like, if there's no structure going in, then what's the structure going to be going out? And that's being, that's maybe a little bit more the PC version, not the crap in, crap out, right? It's like kind of more generalized. But how much preparation is required to kind of get it ready for Howie?
This is a very good question, and we are still in the enterprise scaling exercises. That's why we say we have actually really a lot of interest from market. We are working with few firms and only will be releasing product at scale next year. So what we are seeing, I will use again, agentic AI changes a lot what we building, because once we follow the workflows in the beginning on onboarding, how people use their folder structure. So if they go for final, how they reopen things. And by this, we have modeled way. So it's not like how we will reopen every folder, but it will kind of learn paths, how companies are structuring the data, how they go to later version, how they name it, when was the last file open. So the system is much more intelligent than just like taking flat data, all putting it equally, and all treating it on the same horizontal, if you will. So we are still in the development stage, but this is how we approach projects step by step, and it works for now quite well.
Yeah, we need one that just says, hey, tell me, because how often is it where you just kind of put files into random places, and it's like, don't take my file structure for word, for the final word, give me some recommendations. So it'll be cool to see how you guys approach that and what kind of results it returns.
Yeah, also now we are building case studies where on very different platforms, people dropped different but similar information, right? And how we prioritize which one is more important? Is it by who put it, how many people, because you have graphs, logs, opened it. And so we are in how we call it capabilities? Like, there is probably, in order to build brain, you need 1,000 capabilities. And we are building one by one neuron. Like we are laughing, like ChatGPT at certain stage could only give this answer and knew it only till 2010 or 15, right? And it keeps adding and adding. And this is how we approached building Howie. It's not like the software is not at all in the space ready, that you are trashing on 120 terabytes of data and does it all. This is our goal. But we are in extensive piloting phase.
It reminds me of those the things where it's like the file that says final. So it just counts how many finals there are, and that's how it determines the actual file to reference.
I know, we all have it, right? Especially with contracts.
Oh, all the time.
Okay, so Eva, thank you. That was amazing. Really, really great. I'm going to move us on to Chris and Ben. If you'd like to talk about Maestro, it'd be amazing to hear about what you've been building.
Sure, I'm going to share my screen. Ooh, I got some screen sharing tips. Okay, let's see what we can do here. All right, I hope this is the right one.
Yeah,
I'm going to give it a second.
There you go.
Right on. So we have a PowerPoint. We might be a little old school. But there is a
technology company.
Yeah, cutting edge technology using but anyway, Chris, take it away.
Yeah, so in case somebody's joined a little bit later, so Ben and myself are, we've been in the architectural design industry for the past 15 years. We moved into software development, and through that entire process, we really started finding these problems that were plaguing our industry. And so the big thing really is that our design software is really, really rigid, right? And so going in and wanting to create and customize your design experience has really been kind of out of the realm for the average person. There have been tools that have been designed to make it a little bit more approachable, like Dynamo, Revit, and things like that. But we want to take it a step further. And so this is what we created. So our solution was creating Maestro. And at its core, it's really two things. It's the tool creation platform, as well as the ability to share those tools with your entire team.
Yeah. So we'll just jump right into kind of some project demos. What you see here is actually a screenshot of the software as it sits today. We are in an early access phase officially. And at its core, we use AI to build out scripts and actually deploy them right into the Revit and then share them with your team. And we've taken a couple approaches that we think are really important for the average user. One is code transparency. we want to make sure that this isn't a black box. So if you ask for a tool, you can see all the code that's being run on your machine. Second of all is attaching that chat history to the script itself. So if you open up a script that someone else created and deployed to you, you can actually go through their chat history and actually understand how they came to have this script, all the iteration. Obviously, we have a Python IDE that's integrated directly into Revit. And then in the background, we have a technology stack that is a Revit API-centric AI and kind of guardrail system to produce the best results possible. So without further ado, I'll actually show a demo of this and kind of what this looks like. Chris is going to open up a script. This is format sheet numbers. And as I mentioned, you can go through the chat history. This is attached to the script. The script supports versioning. Now he's on version 1.0 right here. And you can see when he runs it, you'll see all the sheet numbers update. So this is something that someone might have used Dynamo for in the past. And we'll get to deployment in just a moment here. But I do want to answer the question of capabilities. Chris?
Yeah, so whenever we do this presentation or even talk about Maestro, I think the first question we get is, what can Maestro actually do, right? And it can be a little overwhelming because at the end of the day, Maestro can do whatever the Revit API allows you to do. So if you want to kind of go in and automate your annotation process, if you want to find ways to streamline your BIM modeling process, or even analyze the Revit project itself, Maestro allows you to do that. And what we've done here is actually identify just a very small subset of tools that have been created using Maestro, the platform. So as been mentioned, the idea here is that we really want to bring that barrier of entry down lower. We did design it on a more enterprise level focus. So what we have found in the past is that, firms that employ a digital practice team are best suited to really kind of come in and leverage this and take all of those tool creation processes and streamline them a little bit more. But everything we see here is all about making it easier for you to take those workflows that you're currently going through and streamlining them and automating them. Yeah.
And on that note, our ability to customize the Revit ribbon, I believe, is second to none. The existing function, the existing software out there is very rigid. It might require restarting Revit to get new tools on the ribbon, or some type of refresh that is maybe super memory intensive, or you have to go through a bunch of extra steps. We provide a UI to where you can drag and drop your tools. You can change the icons, change the command names, tooltips, descriptions, all of that pretty much instantly. And after you have a ribbon or a tool set that you really like, you can actually deploy it to your team instantaneously. And we're going to show a demo of that process right here. I'm going to click play here. So Chris has his tool set that he likes. He's created his ribbon. He's going to go up and click deploy. We have a really strong emphasis on keeping the UI as user-friendly as possible. We really feel like if your UI is, if it looks like it's built by software developers, no one's going to use it. So here he selects 3 tools. He's going to create a new deployment. A deployment is just any group of tools that you want to send out to your team. And that gets uploaded to your cloud. And here Chris is just going to refresh the portal. And you can see Built Smart Tools popped up right there. The portal does allow you to view it as well as manage the versions. So we support versioning for both individual scripts and groups of deployments. And beyond that, he's actually going to send it to someone. So he's opened up a remote desktop terminal in the background with a new user in it. And he is going to use the web portal to say, hey, I want to deploy this to everyone in the development group. Now, we do support deployment to individual users as well. So if a user says like, hey, I need such and such tool for this project, you can use our AI to scaffold it and send it to that user within about 10 or 15 minutes from first request all the way through them using the tool. And you can see how instant that was. New tools on the Revit ribbon, instantaneously ready to use. And it's just we've tried to make this process just as seamless as possible. Now, one thing to note is that modification is also possible. So we recognize that tool sets should be dynamic, right? The same tools you need today aren't the same tools you'll need tomorrow. So just as easily as you can send that tool out, you can modify deployments and even remove deployments so that you're not cluttering up the user's ribbon. After that, we have native telemetry. One of the big comments that we got when we started development of this process is basically justification, right? Because our deployment, we're a software platform. We charge a certain amount of money. And then on top of that, we're requiring users to also invest time. So we want to be able to track this telemetry. What scripts are users running? What is the outcome? We're working on expanding this telemetry platform to not only have like kind of the most rudimentary stuff where it's like, active users and number of runs per version of the script. We're actually expanding this into custom telemetry as well. So you can actually justify this time that you're putting into tool development. And with that, I think I will hand it back over to Chris to finish us out.
Yeah, so, one of the things that Alistair kind of mentioned as a focus is really how we're using AI to change the way we work. And so what we've envisioned Maestro being is your automation specialist that you have in-house all the time. And so what we've done so far is we've already been able to capture the development and the deployment of the tools you've created. But next, we want to start to look at how do we take that information of which tools are being used and start to look at how people are running or using Revit and provide guidance on, hey, these are some recommendations that we think would make your workflow better. And here are some starting tools to get you going, right? So it kind of goes back to that same question of like, this is great. This tool sounds very powerful. Where do I start? Well, that's going to be the long road is that we're actually going to be able to come in and help you hit the ground running with recommendations off of how you work so that you can, just make it a little bit easier on your everyday.
So I think this is really amazing. What you built is like truly, it's really incredible. And because one of the big issues, because you mentioned earlier, automations you can do with Dynamo, and people have been using Dynamo, but the big problem with Dynamo is managing packages and the right interfaces on every different computer, and it's really difficult to do that essentially. Whereas with your deployment system, it's amazing, quite frankly, because you can just go, we built the thing, it's here. You don't have all those problems with Dynamo packages and versions and all that sort of stuff. You just go, we've built it, push it out to the architect team or push it out to the BIM manager team. And that suddenly it's like it completely frees up all that sort of resource and time and anguish that you can get with managing Dynamo and the complexity that Dynamo requires. I mean, I know some people might not think it's that complex, but for normal users, I consider myself that, it was like, it's a next step up in terms of how to use a tool like that. So you're facilitating something really user-friendly here to help people.
Yeah. I do see a question in the chat that I want to address, Gabriella. She mentioned, can you integrate existing tools? And what I'll say is, to your point, Alistair, is we are actually currently working on integrating Dynamo scripts. Now, we aren't focusing on the AI generation of Dynamo scripts, but we do recognize that there are existing scripts, be it a Python script or C# script or a Dynamo script that you may have developed previously that you want to deploy via our platform, and that is something we are working on supporting. So we're looking at automating that Dynamo package management for you and getting those Dynamo scripts onto the ribbon where they can be seen and used by users just as easily as you would use a Maestro script. So Gabrielle, the answer to your question is yes, you can use existing scripts. Right now, that is limited to Python, but we're expanding that in the near future.
Okay. There's another comment here as well. Sorry, carry on, Leo.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I have to echo what you said, Alistair. I think it looks amazing. I think training in Revit has been a real problem. The contextual menus are incredibly complex. Things are really buried in. So I thought the demo of just like how you can do that workspace and simplify it. You could use your colored logos, point things out. It just helps that user experience. I think that's a bit of a game changer, frankly. Have you ever come across a tool called Guardian? And whether how does your product maybe compete? I don't know anything about Guardian other than I think it would be a great product to try and help harmonize Revit. And I was just wondering how you guys see that and the fit.
So Guardian, at least Guardian's really to help standardize, like make sure that you're working within the confines of your company standards. And I know that they're doing a lot of stuff. They're doing a lot of telemetry as well. And so, I mean, there may be small bits of overlap. Now, I know Parley personally, like we've chatted a lot and, we worked together at one point. But at this point in time, I don't think there's any real overlap in reality. I think that these kind of go hand in hand, right? Because with Guardian and it's kind of preventing users from kind of messing up the or maybe kind of help guiding them through the process of creation. Maestro really comes in, and maybe if something's happened that was already brought in, right? Actually, this is a good example. So one of our clients was had received a model, and so they imported the geometry into their project, and they had a whole bunch of grid lines that were all numbered, right? And so they wanted a way to come in and prefix all of the existing grid lines with an X so that they can then go through and add their own grid lines. And so using Maestro, they were able to go in and prompt and say, hey, just run through all of this. And, you're talking about thousands of instances inside of a project potentially, and it goes through and adds that seamlessly. And so if you have workflows that are already inside of the model itself, you can go in and make them now meet your standards. And then maybe in the future, like maybe that's where Guardian can kind of come in and provide from that point forward to guide them within those guardrails, if that makes sense. But do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you kind of hit on it. I view them as separate domains with a little bit of overlap in terms of maybe telemetry and standards reinforcement. We really focus on the automation of custom needs, whereas I think Guardian at this point, it's like a really well built out, really amazing system for saying like, these are our baseline standards. Let's make sure every project meets that. I think the place where Maestro can add to that is, there were a lot of times working as an architect where I would have a specific need on a specific project that I would never need to automate. I would never need to do that again. It is an automation that I would have to develop for this project. And I can't spend 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours developing a Dynamo script for this one-off. Maestro now allows you to do that. Maestro can say, I need a script do this because I can justify 20 minutes. I can justify 20 minutes of time to automate this huge thing. Whereas before this, it might take, hours and hours. So
yeah, amazing. It's great. Just one quick question in terms of integration with Active Directory or Entra or whatever your user identity platform is. Does Maestro integrate with something where I can have like groups set up and then push out those controls?
So we have, for enterprise users, we have two authentication systems. One is a standard email and password combination that is it's linked to a central database, a central tenant that we assign. The other one is Active Directory. So we do allow you to log in with your Active Directory. As of right now, though, to create groups and manage groups, that's all through our portal. So you cannot create groups that are native to Microsoft, and we can't latch onto those. I think that that's something that we might look into eventually. But point being is that if you were an enterprise user and you want to sign up for this, we would send you as the admin a sign up link that would integrate with your Active Directory. And then from there on out, anybody in your organization can simply download the Revit add-in, run it, and log in using their Microsoft ID, and they will be automatically associated with your organization.
Great. That all sounds perfect, apart from the bit about users being able to download plugins and install them themselves. Otherwise, it was dynamite, mate.
So we do have, just to for the enterprise level, we have actually split the user to like a standard user and a super user. And the reason being is that we understand that sometimes you don't want to have, not everybody needs to see the Maestro AI, right? They just want to be able to have access to the tools that they need. And so we've actually separate those out so that the people that have the capabilities and want to develop tools can do so. But if you just want to go in and just have access to the tools that were created and also provide that little bit of protection to not have someone who doesn't quite understand what they're doing kind of running through a model and creating havoc, right? You can start to kind of limit their access to what they're capable of running without, kind of being able to be assigned it.
Yeah. Perfect. So standard user, I'll just throw this out there because standard plug. So standard user actually probably doesn't really have access to the AI, doesn't have the ability to do all of this automation. What they would have access to is a limited amount of ribbon management. They would be able to create like quick links to like files that they want. So if they need to quickly link to a specification or a product in their hard drive, they can do that via Maestro, automating the creation of new buttons inside Revit. But yeah, the aspect of downloading new tools and deploying them to others, that is a specialized permission, as Chris mentioned. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, it's the principles around like Copilot, isn't it? You just want to give Copilot agents to people, not full studio. Exactly. You want to retain some sort of control around that. So it sounds perfect. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, that's been amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate your time and your thoughts on that. Oh, there was one more question. Hang on for you, Eva. Bear with me while I just find it. Here we are. Can Howie assist with onboarding new team members or supporting those who aren't yet familiar with our workflows and standards? For example, can it guide them through best practices or help them understand how things are done in a firm?
That's the goal. That's the goal. Of course, depending what you connect with Howie, this is a very simple answer. If you connect it with the data or databases where you have information on onboarding, right? Of course, it can guide you through. So it really depends what you connect it with, but this is what also our customers are using for.
Great. Okay, that's really good. Okay, that was the last question. That's really good. We've got lots of good questions there. Okay, so we're getting close to the end. Does anyone have anything else they want to add? Anything that I've forgotten, essentially?
I mean, I just want to say I thought it was, everything that everybody's working on is all really cool. And Alistair, I want to say, like, this idea of kind of showcasing how all these things can work together, I think is really, really powerful, instead of just, all having 5 different softwares that all do the same thing, trying to kind of, it's like, how do I work with this today? How do I get my workflow more optimized and made improvements to right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel the same way in that all of these applications, I can sort of see a use case immediately in the company. And I know I've said this before, but a really basic thing, but just like company intranet, it's something that people have really still struggle with today, where you have big systems, big CRM systems, but people just want to ask the question in like a chat in an AI system, GPT or whatever, but they want it to be your data, and that's just felt so far away. Whereas Howie's just kind of like, hey, it's here. That's great. How much is it going to cost?
How much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
How big is your firm?
Say 30 people.
Okay, 30 people. We mostly now work with companies like around 300 people. Okay, wow. So I have to divide by 10. It depends when you join. If you join now, it's around 8-9K yearly.
8,000 to 9,000 pounds yearly.
Yeah. But that this is also a wrong question, because it's like the question is how much Howie saves you, right?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. We'll spin it some way.
This is because price doesn't mean anything if you just drop as a price, right? So we really on the size of, oh my God, I'm so used to the big numbers. We talk with big companies, but we should get on the call. We have calculations per market, and we are still defining our KPIs, how much we save time for you as a firm. So this is our biggest benchmark, right? We would not put the value of the price. But nevertheless, I just want to say that I'm so grateful to have Alistair in the community, because you are doing such a great job connecting different, as you say, softwares for the firm and just bringing innovation to the people. So thank you so much, Alistair, to have you.
Thank you.
Howie Corner from day one.
I'm here. I find it all fascinating. It's all amazing. So when I was at university, and this is 25 years ago, someone was like, you know, in the 90s, it was like, this is the most exciting time to be in architecture. And, you know, the answer to that question is actually it wasn't. I think now is the most interesting time to be in, because all this digital technology is fundamentally going to change how we work, what we do, how we deliver it, how fast we can do it, and should increase our productivity, our sustainability, our ability to meet our client requirements, and all those kind of urban and infrastructure needs we know we need in the built environment. And all these tools are incrementally getting us in that direction. So that's the aim, is to try to support all those things, I think. But I appreciate that. That's really nice. So the last thing I'm just going to share very quickly is we've actually got another webinar on Monday night, which Leo's thanking me for. But we're looking at Revit, Forma, and Finch. There's brand new integration. It's just been launched in the last week, and I'm very fortunate to have Jesper from Finch is going to be on there to talk about that, and also got Caesar from Autodesk, and also Anders as well from the Forma team is going to be there. So it's going to be a really interesting session, looking again at those sort of workflows and how we can speed up that early stage. And as always, the generative design report that I've completed is here. It's online, and you can find that. And if you're interested, there's a couple of different ways to access that. So there's a taster report, which is fairly low cost, which gives you all the generative design tools out there in one document. So it helps people in that way. And then there is also the kind of the main report itself, which has got everything in there. And I've reviewed 20 of those in detail. So if you are interested in generative design and early stage workflows, this is, you know, really good, I think. I'd be delighted to show you more about that. I'm just going to say thanks to everyone. I really appreciate your time. And Eva, I know it's super late where you are, so I doubly appreciate what you're doing. But yeah, Ben, Chris, amazing to see you as well. So thanks everyone, and we'll follow up afterwards with anyone on the calls. If you've got questions or if you've got any queries, please reach out to everyone on this call on LinkedIn. Probably the best location for that, but obviously all the links to all the different software I've tried to share throughout this. So explore, enjoy, ask questions, and hopefully it will lead to better productive outcomes for everyone.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks
so
everyone.
Much.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks. Bye.